Welcome back, everyone. It's Colin and David, Deep Threat Sports. We're super stoked. Week 2 college football. We are through the roof. We had some exciting games week 1. And now, headed into week 2, a lot of fun games coming up. So before we get to that, I know we talked to you guys about, hey, you got a question, you got a concern, you got a comment to make, let us know. We had Kevin reach out on Spotify, had a question for us. So Colin, talk to us. Kevin from Spotify wants to know if we think that Arch Manning getting reps at the end of the blowout games will affect Quinn Ewers in the Heisman race. What do you think?
That's honestly a great question. It's something to really think about here. Quinn Ewers, they get up early. Quinn Ewers comes out of the game in the second half of the game. Arch Manning comes in. Obviously, Arch Manning's name has tons of recognition around it. But, honestly, with this question, Dave, I truly do think that Quinn Ewers does enough to keep his name in that Heisman conversation. And I think what he needs to do to keep Arch Manning from robbing his snaps or maybe demoralizing what he's done, I think what he needs to do is he needs to get in there, take care of business early. Never let Arch Manning's name come up in podcasts like this or on, ESPN or wherever you get your news from. Keep it where Arch Manning's name doesn't come up. Be so good that nobody cares. Really what Arch Manning does in the second half, it's just another blowout game, right? I think Quinn Ewers has plenty of talent. Quinn Ewers really can get his name in this Heisman conversation. Obviously one day is going to be Arch Manning's day, but right now it's Quinn Ewers. He's done a lot for this program. He's still riding with this program, led them to the playoffs last season. The fans need to keep Arch Manning's name out of their mouth. Quinn Ewers needs to do enough to where Arch Manning truly is an afterthought. And when I say that, I don't mean anything bad towards Arch Manning. I just mean this season, Quinn Ewers needs to keep Arch Manning's name away from everyone.
100% Colin, I'm with you. I personally think that if anything, if they're having to have blowout games, it only benefits Quinn Ewers because he will be on a winning team if they're blowing teams out. Yes, Arch Manning might get a couple reps, but that's a good thing for the program of Texas, showing that you will get reps even if you're not the starting guy. Not to mention, Heisman voting is not based solely on stats. When we have voting for the Heisman, which is the most outstanding player in the country, we have got sports journalists, we have got former Heisman winners, we've got other experts weighing in on this. So it's more of an eye test for the most part, who looks the best. So if Quinn Ewers is playing 3 quarters and he's crushing in 3 quarters, I think that speaks a lot about who he is, and that may give him that edge, if anything, because he is such a winning program. And then last year we had Jayden Daniels. LSU didn't do amazing last year. They did pretty solid, but he still won it. And then USC has the most Heisman winners in history up to date. But who knows? It may be somebody new this year.
Well, honestly, Dave, you talk about USC here, and I don't want to put the carriage in front of the horse here. I'm not going to come out and say that I think Miller Moss is a Heisman front runner. But, man, USC looked good. Miller Moss looked good. Lincoln Riley and quarterbacks, it just works, right? I mean, I could go on for days. Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams, and I know I'm forgetting one. Oh, Kyler Murray. I mean, you name it, he's had the guys. He's put Heisman Trophy winners up. You talked about Jayden Daniels. Yeah, I do agree with you. It was a lot of an eye test for Jayden Daniels because that team wasn't very good. Jayden Daniels did have incredible stats as well. But one thing that you touched on, Dave, that I really want to talk about, you made a great point. If Quinn Ewers is coming out of the game early, you're right. That means he took care of business. He dominated the game for 3 quarters, gave Texas plenty of leg room to cover the game, not get nervous, made Steve Sarkisian comfortable enough where he can bring his starters out and then plug Arch Manning in. Another good thing about Arch Manning coming in, if I'm a Texas fan, I would love that. To your point, that means they're winning. But secondly, you're getting Arch Manning reps. We talked about Ryan Wingo on this show, a 5-star receiver out of the St. Louis area that went down to Texas. If you can get Ryan Wingo and Arch Manning and these other backup receivers that are the underclassmen right now reps together, man, it's only going to make this team stronger in the future, Dave. I really do like the direction Texas is going. I was a little nervous coming into the season about how they were going to look just because they did lose a lot. They answered all questions, Dave. Texas is a good program. Sarkisian's a great coach. Quinn Ewers is a great quarterback. Kevin, I think Quinn Ewers is the man. I don't think you have to worry about Arch Manning dipping into his pockets too much in this situation.
Just kind of piggybacking off of that, Colin, speaking of Texas, speaking of Steve Sarkisian, speaking of Quinn Ewers, we're moving into week 2, one game that's going to be very exciting. You're going to have a lot of media attention on it. We have Texas at Michigan at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So very exciting game. Texas coming off of a blowout win, which is why that question even came up. And then Michigan kind of struggled a little bit with Fresno State. So very intriguing matchup. I think Texas takes this one, and I don't think it's close. But what do you think, Colin?
Dave, piggybacking your right off of everything we just talked about, Texas is a great program. Texas is in a great spot, really great spot right now. Quinn Ewers is really looking to keep this program in the playoff hunt. I don't think they're going to have an issue with 12 teams. We have talked about on this show, yeah, they did lose C.J. Baxter, their starting running back at that position. That does hurt the team a little bit. It does go into their depth at the running back position. I think Jaden Blue will be just fine. I do think this offensive line will start to get a push and make things go the right way. But yeah, you're right, Dave. What a tough opponent this week. They're playing Michigan. Michigan's got an incredible front seven. But what I think Texas needs to do in this game, David, I think Texas needs to spread them out. I think they need to attack the secondary. I know Michigan has stud cornerback Will Johnson, who will probably going to be a will be a first-round pick. I think he's one of the most NFL-ready guys in college football this season. He is an absolute island at the cornerback position. We'll take number one receivers out of the equation. But where Michigan also struggles is the rest of that secondary. I think Quinn Ewers spreads them out. He can really attack. Texas has fast receivers. Get them out there in the open. Create some separation. Understand that Will Johnson will lock down your top guy for the most part, but everybody else needs to do their thing. Quinn Ewers, throw some guys open here, avoid some sacks. This Texas team, I think I lean with you on this, Dave. I do think I lean Texas in this. I may not lock it up later in the book it section. I'm not that comfortable. The line did open around, I think, Michigan plus 3.5. Now we're looking all the way down at Texas minus 7.5. Last I looked, that line's kind of going crazy. It's really all over the place. I think I may just watch that game day for the most part, take it all in, do some deep dives in the game. This is going to be one hell of a matchup.
So, Colin,
Michigan. Go ahead, Dave.
Before you get going, what is going on with the Michigan quarterback position? Because we're going into week 2, and there's no guarantee who's the starting quarterback. I feel like usually that's not a good thing. Go to week 2 and not know, because usually your top guy has emerged at this point. So is it that they have 2 great guys, or is it that they're pretty much, essentially got 2 mediocre guys that they're trying to figure out who's going to, get them to the promised land?
To be honest with you, Dave, fantastic question. I'm going to lean on the side of this that when you have 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, that means you have no quarterbacks. I think that means nobody has excelled enough to get themselves out in front, to grab the reins of this team, to really lead them to the promised land. With that, Michigan's O-line kind of struggled against Fresno State last week. That's not going to be good because Texas's defense is very stout. On the flip side of that, though, Texas didn't generate a whole lot of pressure, didn't notch a sack against Colorado State in that blowout. Maybe they were hiding some things. Maybe they didn't want to show their true playmakers on that front seven just yet because they knew they had a tough opponent like Michigan coming up. They probably knew they could get by at the minimum with Colorado State, and that they did. But yeah, Dave, Davis Warren, Alex Orji, which direction is Sharon Moore going to go? That I don't know. But what blows my mind, Dave, is Michigan is set up to run the football. They are set up to pound the rock, get in there. They have no receivers that are going to blow you away. Their main guys, Colston Loveland, and, great tight end stud, but you don't have any receivers, in my opinion, that can take the top off that defense. So why do you put a guy like Davis Warren in there to throw the football when you're really built to run the football? That guy to run the rock out of the quarterback position, for me, I would probably lean Alex Orji. He has not impressed me at all throwing the football, and obviously I know that's the most important step at the quarterback position. But the way I see this offense set up to pound the rock, I'm going with Alex Orji. Give Donovan Edwards some help in that backfield. They need to feature Donovan Edwards more this week. I don't know if they were just trying to keep the snaps down, keep him healthy, long season. If you get into the playoffs and you're making a run at this thing, this really could be the longest season of these guys' career up to this point. So maybe he is just trying to save the knees a little bit, but I don't think Davis Warren is the answer in this situation. Just don't think he's the guy to lead this Michigan program into a deep playoff run, Dave.
Yeah, sounds like they got a lot to figure out there. Big problem at the QB position. But another team that is struggling a little bit, another SEC team that we've talked about in the past is South Carolina, the Gamecocks. They're going to match up with Kentucky over the weekend, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. So, the tailgates are probably going to be crazy because people are starting at 6, 7, 8 a.m., maybe even earlier. Who knows? People that love college football are wild about it. But the exciting stuff is Brock Vandagriff had a decent performance. I think he went 12 for 18 last game against Southern Miss. And then 3 touchdowns. But he did have a pick. So Southern Miss picked him off. Kentucky's got a stout defense. So how does that matchup play out? And does Kentucky take the dub?
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about here first, before we get too deep in it, is, I've kind of alluded a little bit to maybe Mark Stoops, maybe Shane Beamer could be in a little bit of a hot seat here. I think Mark Stoops is a great coach, so I don't want to take away anything he's done. Kentucky is a hard program to win at. They have proved they're a basketball school. But with that point, Dave, they have proved that they're ready to move on from these legendary coaches. Look at John Calipari, not to get into basketball here, but a legendary Kentucky basketball coach, legendary coach in general, and they're ready to move on from him. So that would worry me a little bit if I was Mark Stoops. I would maybe think in the back of my mind, I don't know how much longer 6-6 works. I don't know how much longer 7-5 works. I really need to catapult this program. They do got some decent NIL money. But yeah, Shane Beamer's seat's really hot. And after that Old Dominion game last week, did not impress me at all. It's not that I don't think they look prepared. I just think they might struggle at that quarterback position a little bit. Lenore Sellers really didn't impress me too much. Wasn't blown away by anything he brought to the table. But I tell you one thing that absolutely blew my mind with this South Carolina team is freshman defensive end Dylan Stewart. My Lord, that guy wrecked shit all game long, blew that offensive lineup. He is going to be a problem for this Kentucky offensive line. That guy himself can really generate some pressure. You know, I look for Brock Vandagriff to set up. I'm a believer in this Brock Vandagriff. You know, transferred into Kentucky from Georgia. Obviously, at that point, to get an offer from Georgia and to be a part of that Georgia Bulldogs program, you have to have some sort of talent, right? So going into Kentucky, Brock Vandagriff is a great quarterback. You talked about how he has 12 for 18, 3 touchdowns against Southern Miss. Obviously, that's Southern Miss. South Carolina will probably be a little bit tougher of an opponent. But yeah, man, look for this Kentucky game to be a wild atmosphere. You're right. They're going to get in there early. Most likely, half these fans will be bombed by the game start. Dave, I'm really looking forward to this one. There's a reason we highlighted this game. This is a massive momentum builder for both these programs coming in at 1-0. The team that can get to 2-0, get that first SEC victory. What a great start to their season in SEC conference play that would be.
Next game, also at 2:30 tomorrow, Iowa State versus Iowa. In-state rivalry. I'm sure the fans are going to be going wild. I mean, everybody from the state of Iowa is going to be there. If you love football, you love Iowa, you're going to be there. It's going to be wild. But Iowa State seems to be the one with the upper hand a little bit this game. So, talk to us, Colin. What will this look like? As well as, do you have anybody pulling through, by a long shot?
Yeah, you talk about how you think Iowa State, kind of has the upper hand in this game. I want to agree with you, Dave. We're both high on Iowa State. Not as high on Iowa, but I tell you what, Dave, Iowa got that offense going. That might be the most points they scored in years. Maybe fact check that, but that offense looked totally different. I know they had a lesser opponent, but man, 40 points for an Iowa offense. Whew. And at 6-0 at halftime, really didn't see that coming. This is traditionally called the Cy-Hawk battle. That stands. This is always an incredible matchup. Usually, typically a low-scoring game. It's been bought all the way down to 35.5. Kirk Ferentz needs this offense to go in this game. They had a really rough first half that I just talked about against Illinois State, 6-0 at halftime. Honestly, Dave, I was laughing at halftime when I saw the score of that game. I just thought to myself, Iowa did it again. Incredible defense with no offense. They fired their offensive coordinator, Kirk Ferentz's son, and they still can't score. But, man, they came out with a totally different offense in that second half. Looked electric, really got things going. Cade McNamara looked incredible, was dropping in dimes. Haven't been able to say that about Cade McNamara in a long time, maybe ever. He did transfer in from Michigan last year, wasn't the best. My biggest thing is I'm a firm believer that this Iowa State team is a Big 12 dark horse. Rocco Beck looked very, very good last week, was 20 for 26, 267 yards, 2 touchdowns, has a stud receiver in Jalen Noel, gets tons of separation by himself, always finds himself open. Rocco Beck make the throws. I think Iowa State can really sit in here and bang in this game, even though this is at Iowa. The only thing I'm concerned about, Dave, is Iowa State really struggled the ball last week. I don't know if Sama got hurt. I'm pretty confident Sama got hurt and sat a lot of that game. So, maybe getting him back this week, that's huge for this Iowa State team. That's huge to go in and win this game. My biggest question today, can this game hit the over for once? Iowa leads this series 47-23. I do have a play in this game, Dave. We got to get the people to stay put, stay here till the end. In our book it section, you will see the play that we're going to make in this game. May shock some of you.
Man, I personally don't think it is going to be a high-scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-score game, period. No one really has anything real crazy going for them offensively, but only time will tell. We'll find out tomorrow at 2:30. Another big game that we have, I'm excited about this one, is Tennessee versus NC State. Both coming off of a win. We've got two awesome college coaches, Dave Doran, Josh Heupel. Exciting stuff. I'm excited because NC State is kind of my home state team. So it is in North Carolina, but it's not at NC State. It is at Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank of America Stadium. So kind of close to Tennessee, kind of close to NC State. I personally think, just from everybody I know, is it's going to be a home game for NC State. There's going to be a lot of emotion around it. And truthfully, Tennessee probably has the better talent. But the fact that it is a game in North Carolina, these North Carolina State fans are going to show up. They're going to be loud. They're going to make that place electrifying. So I think it's a close game. I personally don't think NC State gets the dub here, but I think they're going to keep it competitive. It's going to go well. And Grayson McCall didn't do great last game, but had a decent performance, having 3 touchdowns. I believe it was 1 interception last game. So very exciting stuff. But on the other hand, we've got Tennessee. Tennessee's QB is supposed to be the next big thing. Talk to us, Colin. Do you think he's going to be the next big thing?
Yeah, Dave. Simple answer here. Yes. Nico Iamaleava has all the Heisman talent in the world. And I'm going to make a bold take here, Dave. I do personally think that he is, if not the most, definitely in the top 3 most talented quarterbacks in the country as it sits right now. Arm strength, can move the ball. He's big, he's tall. Guy is an absolute athlete. But another guy that I want to talk about before we go anywhere in this game, James Pierce. We've talked about him before. I even made the take, lock up first pick in the draft, get it while you can. James Pierce is a game wrecker. Plain and simple, he will absolutely eat this offensive line up. You know, NC State struggles on the offensive line, plays into James Pierce's hand even more. The Tennessee defense is very stout. I think they get consistent pressure on Grayson McCall all game. I think they're going to make this very tough for this NC State offense. But while I'm talking about this NC State offense, Kevin Concepcion, also one of the most talented receivers in the country. Very, very high on KC. Huge fan of him. That guy is always open. If Grayson McCall snap the rock, get it out, get it to him quick, get it to the playmakers. That's the only way I think they're going to have a chance in this game, Dave. We may wake up and find ourselves in a dogfight here, but I'm a firm believer in this Tennessee team. They're selling me more and more by every time I watch a play they run. Dylan Sampson, absolute stud at running back, helps Nico Iamaleava, with a little bit less experience, take a little bit of pressure off him. Dave, this team's 4, 5, 6 receivers deep, this Tennessee team is. There's always somebody open. What plays into them that helps them out a ton is they can constantly rotate these guys in, keep fresh legs, keep them fresh deep in the game. I look for Tennessee to do this thing, Dave. Like I said a second ago, stay tuned. You'll see where we're going to fall in this game. I think I probably made it pretty obvious. Hopefully sold some of you to fall in line with us. This NC State team struggled getting pressure on Western Carolina last week, was kind of in a dogfight with them. NC State needs to slow the game tempo down, limit Tennessee possessions, use the whole play clock. They will not win this game in a shootout, Dave.
Man, exciting stuff for everyone that's going to be going to Bank of America Stadium to watch that game. But speaking of Bank of America Stadium, somebody that knows a lot about that place but has not won a lot there, Matt Rhule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They're going to be playing Colorado this weekend at 6:30 p.m. So it's going to be a night game. Exciting stuff. I think, personally, I think Colorado takes it because it's hard to bet against Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders. I mean, they have got a hell of a team over there. I'm not the biggest fan of Deion Sanders. He has done some great things. Loved how, I don't know if you guys saw this, but he figured out some accounts with a local credit union to help the players on the team that do have kids, which is huge for me. I hugely respect that. I personally, at some point, was in college, had a kid during college, and it's a rough time. So that's huge that he's doing that for them. But on the football side, do I think they're going to make the playoffs? No, I don't. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're going to be an average team. And I think if they finish off above 500, that's going to be a success for them. Again, look at what Deion Sanders received as a team. I mean, he pretty much started on a clean slate. That's impressive, the fact that he's even in these talks at this point in his career with Colorado. But I don't think they're a team that's going to win national championship. They're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. But look, 3-4 years on the road, that may be the case. Nebraska, on the other hand, have constantly struggled in the last couple of years. Now with Matt Rhule, Dylan Raiola, they may have a chance to do better, but they have got to play their hearts out because Colorado has the talent, Nebraska has to have the heart. Simple as that.
Yeah, Dave, I'm going to agree with you a little bit here. I think Shedeur Sanders, I think Travis Hunter, probably the two best players in this game. You know, I do want to tip the cap. I do want to recognize those two players. Obviously, Colorado has many other guys on this team, but I think those two guys are what keeps Colorado in talks. Those two guys are what keeps Colorado in games. Deion Sanders has proven he's going to feed Travis Hunter. He's going to let Shedeur go out there and just keep slinging the rock. He's not going to stop. Travis Hunter, man, best player in the country, Dave. I'm going to go ahead and say I think he's probably the best player in the country. We're talking about a guy that goes out there and plays 90-plus snaps, plays both ways all game long, locks down receivers, is truly, in my opinion, what looks to be their whole offense. You know, I don't want to take away anything the other receivers have done. They are very good. But Travis Hunter is different. He is a very different kind of football player. He is a generational talent. We haven't seen something like this in so long. The biggest thing for me here is, you know, which defense slows the other team's offense down? Neither one of these defenses blow me away. Both offenses can make plenty of plays. I think Nebraska has to really limit the chunk, big yardage plays, slow this Colorado offense down, punch them in the mouth a little bit, and keep Travis Hunter out of space. What Dylan Raiola has to do in this game, this is going to be a sold-out Nebraska crowd. Go in there. Don't have to match shot for shot with Shedeur Sanders. Remember, son, you're a freshman. Make the routine throws, make the reads, slow the game down. Don't be Shedeur Sanders. Don't try and play hero ball. Make the routine throws. Show your team that they can believe in you. Show your team that you have confidence in yourself. You know, Dylan Raiola comes in constantly looking like Patrick Mahomes with his get-up. I know those guys train together. We talked about that here a little bit before. And then pre-game show last week, he comes out with the same goatee, same haircut, look just like him. You don't have to play like Patrick Mahomes. Just do your job. Keep it simple. Let the offense run. Trust your coach. Matt Rhule is a great coach. That is where the biggest separation in this game, in my opinion, is, Dave. Matt Rhule will outcoach Deion Sanders up and down the field all game long, all 60 minutes long. Trust your coach. Make the throws. Nebraska gets this done at home. I really have no doubts, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Matt Rhule, you know, out coaching Deion Sanders, but let's find out. I mean, I'm excited. Should be a good game, but another game that'll probably be pretty good too. And I personally wouldn't have thought it, you know, beginning of the year is Arkansas at Oklahoma State. Very exciting game for this weekend. We have Arkansas, you know, I've never been to University of Arkansas. I've never been to their stadium, but good buddy of mine, Spencer Shannon, shout out to him. He is a huge Arkansas fan, but all I hear is how electrifying the environment is there. But this is at Oklahoma State, so that's not going to matter. But the exciting thing is Oklahoma State has a lot of offense, but clearly Arkansas does too. I mean, Colin, did you see they blew out? I mean, I understand it's Arkansas Pine Bluff. I don't even know anybody knows where Pine Bluff, Arkansas is, but 70-0, that's still a statement, even if it's Arkansas Pine Bluff. Oklahoma State also put up some numbers, but they also got scored on by South Dakota State. I believe it was about around 20 points. So who gets the upper hand here? Does Ollie Gordon make the difference? What does that look like?
Yeah, Dave. First, let's touch on Pine Bluff here a little bit in Arkansas. Both my brothers are traveling linemen. Shout out to my brothers here. You know, love those guys very much. Stay safe out there. They actually work out of Pine Bluff. So, you know, no, to answer your question, I did not see Arkansas scoring 70 points. Dave, I don't know if I saw Arkansas scoring 70 points in 4 games total. You know, Taylon Green looked very, very good. Jaquindon Jackson looked very, very good for this Arkansas offense. I'm impressed. I'm impressed so far. Like you said, it was Pine Bluff. Let's see what they can do against this Oklahoma State team. We're very high on Oklahoma State here. We have them flirting around that Big 12 championship. Very high on Oklahoma State. Ollie Gordon, absolute horse. To your point, feed that guy the ball. I don't think Arkansas can slow Ollie Gordon down. I truly don't. But along with Ollie Gordon, you know, Brennan Presley and Rashad Owens get overshadowed by Ollie Gordon. Those guys are stud receivers, Dave. Alan Bowman just got to get them the ball, keep the ball in his playmakers' hands. I'm going to lean Mike Gundy here. Mike Gundy is one of my favorite coaches in the country. Huge believer in him. He always seems to get this program right. You know, Oklahoma State's known to drop a couple games here that they probably shouldn't. But I think you can say that about most programs. I lean Oklahoma State here, Dave. Both these teams come in at 1-0. Which team can get out of here at 2-0? Really help them in playoff conversations. Get a first good Power 4 win under your belt. Catapult this thing in the right direction. No questions from me on this one, really.
Absolutely. So that kind of wraps up our weekend game preview. So very exciting stuff. So you guys will be watching the games this weekend. But moving on to our other very exciting segment is our best bets. Very exciting. We went 8-4. I mean, that's darn good if you ask me for our first time doing this. Hey, that's over 60%. That's passing in many colleges. So hey, we'll take that. But very exciting stuff. Talk to us, Colin. What do our bets look like? What do you want to bet, and what does that look like?
Yeah, Dave. Coming right off that Oklahoma State game, we're going to get right into it here. Oklahoma State -7.5. Dave, you know what you can do with that?
Book it.
We're going to go ahead and book that shit, lock it in. On to the next game, we're going to go ahead and lean Auburn -13. Reminder, I do want to say all these games, this was last time we looked at these lines earlier today. This is where they were. Auburn -13. Dave, what are we going to do?
Book it. But before we go any further, Colin, let's talk about this, because there may be some viewers that do not know exactly how the betting works. So if you're in the minus, that means that you're the favorite and you have to win by that certain amount of points. For example, Oklahoma State that we talked about, -7.5. That means that essentially they're starting off in a deficit of 7.5 points before the game begins. So if it's in a positive, then that means that if you're a positive, then that means you are the underdog. So very exciting stuff. Colin, if you got anything else to add there about what that means, how they come up with that, you can throw that in there. Go ahead.
Oh, just if Oklahoma State's -7.5, they got to get in and get out and win that game by 8 or more for your bet to hit. But hey, biggest tip we've gave this whole entire podcast so far, always buy the hook. And if you need me to reiterate that, buying the hook means if it's 7.5, you need to buy that half point. If your team is -7.5, buy that half point, get it down to -7. That way, at worst, you get out of there with a push if they win by 7. Get your money back. You don't win nothing. But hey, Dave, we love a push. A push is a win in my book. If you're not losing, you're winning, baby. That's what we do here.
Scared money don't make money, right?
Scared money don't make money, baby. You know how we do things here. Next bet, we're going to go ahead with Texas State -1. Last we looked, and we're going to go ahead and book that shit too. On to the next one. We love Tennessee -10. Dave, what are you going to do with Tennessee -10?
Hey, I'm a book it. I'm all about Nico. Book it, book it, book it.
Book it, baby. Book it all day. Nebraska -7.5. We're going to book that as well. Mississippi State +5.5. Go ahead and lock that in. Iowa State, Dave. What direction do you think I'm going with this game? Tell me what you think I'm going to do with this game, Dave.
I think I know you, so I think you're going to go the over, but just because you like to gamble a little bit here. But I think you should do the under. I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. So you tell us, what are you doing, Colin? Are you getting risky? You playing it safe? What are you doing?
I'm coming here to tell you that what we are going to do here is we are going to go against the grain. I think the books have caught up to this under. It's sitting at 35.5. This game averages about 38.7 points per game. Dave, we're going to go against the grain, and we're going to book that shit.
Hey, you already know. We're going to call you out. We're going to call ourselves out on anything we get wrong. We're going to be straight up about it. We're not going to just pretend it didn't happen. So if it doesn't hit, we're going to talk about it next week, Colin.
Hey, to your point, Dave, we were 8-4 last week. You know, we didn't come on here and brag all the time about all the picks we hit. You guys know if you follow us, don't come at me and say, hey, the one game you took with us, you lost. I'm not going to listen to that. We went 8-4, baby. If you're going to ride with us, ride with us. On to that next game. We're going to take Oregon team total over 40.5. For those of you that are rookies at this or don't know or need some more information, Oregon team total over 40.5 means that Oregon themselves, just the Oregon Ducks, have to go in, score 41 points or more for your bet to hit. Hey, what did we tell you before? Buy that hook, get it down to 40. Next game we're going to talk about here, we're going to take Oklahoma State, Arkansas over 63. You know, per PFF, Cowboys and Razorbacks were 109 and 117th in coverage last week against FCS opponents. Get in, get out. Both these teams going to score a lot of points that we think here on Deep Thread Sports. We're going to go ahead and book it. On to that next game, App State, Clemson. We're going to go ahead and take the under 52.5 in that game. Book it. Hey, last week, Dave, we gave you one money line bet. We gave you one money line underdog. It hit. So you know what we're going to do this week? We liked Mississippi State plus 5.5. You know what I got to say about this game, Dave? Wrong team favored. Mississippi State money line plus 170. You get in there and you absolutely book that shit.
Hey, hitting back to trying to educate everybody, get everybody on the same page in regards to what betting looks like. Talk to us. What is a money line pick for those of the viewers that don't know what it is?
Yeah, great question, Dave. I love the questions of this. I love getting into the simplicity of things so we can break it down for the casual fans, the guys that are just hopping in. You know, obviously, guys and girls are hopping in with us here and getting these bets out. What that means, Dave, money line means there's no spread in this game. Spread means, you know, the minus 7.5 that you heard earlier, that's a spread. The team's got to win by that margin. Money line means all they have to do is win this game, Dave. All they have to do is get in there, take care of business, win this game by a point. Hey, your money line cashes. I'm very, very confident in this Mississippi State Bulldogs team against Arizona State. So we did ask our wives again, wives picks. I looked at my wife and said, hey, why don't you give me something that you have some interest in this week? Dave, my wife caught me off guard and told me that she likes Kentucky team total over 26.5. When she told me this bet, I fell in love with this bet. I absolutely love Kentucky team total over 26.5. Never saw my wife coming up with a team total, but hey, here we are. Kentucky team total over 26.5. You know what Paige is going to do? She's going to book it. Dave, what's your wife Ashley got in play for us here this week?
So my wife Ashley, I don't even know if she's ever seen a football, so I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. But when I talked to her about what does that look like, I think she's going to Colorado simply for the fact that we've been to Estes Park. We love the place. Actually, we happen to drive to University of Colorado on accident. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. She has Colorado, but Colorado is a 7.5 point underdog in this game. So we'll see how it does. We'll see if they pull off the win. Does Matt Rhule pull off the win as a Deion Sanders? We'll find out Saturday afternoon.
Hey, talking about going against the grain, Dave, your wife comes out here and gets us both. We like Nebraska minus 7.5. We're going to brag again real quick. We win 8-4, and she's going to go against the grain like this. I tell you what, she hits this one. We're going to bring her on. We're going to see what she has to say, get some of that analysis because we're going to whiff on this one if she hits it out of the park, Dave. I love bringing the wives into this. They let us get out here and have some fun. They let me and you get together constantly, you know, work on some details, iron this thing out. Man, we love doing this. I'm so excited that we're in season. Dave, I love everything that we've accomplished so far. I love our fans that are riding with us. Hey, hopefully we can get you guys another great week. Let's get 4 games over 500 again. Let's make you guys that money. And when we make you guys that money, just remember, come on here, maybe throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. Dave and I aren't the best at pushing this thing because we don't want to seem like those guys. But the best thing you can do for us, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family. You know, get on here, share our tweets, everything that we do. Just ride with us. Show us that you're a fan. Man, we really appreciate it. Want to give a shout out to our first comment that we got from Kevin earlier that we talked about earlier in this podcast. Really appreciate those kind of things. Gets us great talking points. Lets us really take a different angle, get into some detail. Hey, we love the questions. Keep them coming. Dave, here we go, baby. Week 2, we're underway. Got some games on in the background right now. Got the juices flowing. I feel great. I'm hyped up. I love talking about the Book It segment. My favorite part to do with you guys. Dave, book it, baby.
Absolutely, Colin. We love college football. We've had a blast doing this. A couple episodes in, we've had a lot of fun. But again, like, comment, subscribe. Hey, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, we want to hear it all. We don't want to hear just positive. If you guys say, hey, I think you guys should try this out. You guys should try this out. Absolutely. Give us that feedback. We want to learn more. We want to know more. And again, we're always aiming to constantly throw in new things for you guys so it doesn't seem repetitive. We want to add new things. Just a little spoiler, we're probably going to be throwing in a quick little segment, neighborhood quarterback. We'll talk to you guys more about it down the road. But even more exciting, we're starting to possibly go through different avenues. We started Deep Threat Sports. We may be progressing to Deep Threat Sports Network, which will include a lot of other sports. So if football's not your thing, maybe baseball, maybe NASCAR, maybe NFL. That may be coming in the near future. So be excited for it. We're going to be here. We're going to keep this growing. We just want to keep improving. So stick with us. Like Colin said, let your friends know. Let your family know. Put us out there. That's all we ask. Listen to us. If you get a chance, like and comment, interact with us. And again, if you got a question, ask us. We'll answer it. Whether we know the answer or not, we'll do the research. We'll find out. We'll do the numbers, and we'll give you what you want.
Very exciting news. We are very happy to announce that tonight. We are expanding to Deep Threat Sports Network. And like Dave alluded to, what that means is we're going to have every avenue of sports covered for you at some point. We're transitioning into starting many podcasts. Dave and I aren't going to be featured all of them. We have many great guys that have plenty of great knowledge. We wouldn't put these guys in place if we didn't trust them. These guys rock, man. We're going to get a NASCAR podcast underway. We got an NFL podcast coming to you soon. We got an MLB podcast coming to you soon for the playoffs. We got hockey. We're going to cover as much as we absolutely can. Great guys. So excited to do all this with all of you guys. Stay tuned. Be on the lookout. Great things coming your way soon. Appreciate all of you. That's Dave. I'm Colin. You're here riding Deep Threat Sports Network. Hey, fans. Look it. We out.